In the previous video, we went over some of the more basic things, turning it on and off, add, subtract, multiply, divide, parentheses, brackets, and exponents. Now we're going to do a couple more things which are going to be very, very useful to you all, and these are very important to learn how to do on the Quackalacker. Let's just go with that. So let's start with 0.4. Most people are good with decimals, but they struggle with fractions. But a lot of times you need to know how to make a decimal into a fraction. So what can you do if you have 0.4? We're going to use the graphing calculator to turn it into a fraction. So we're going to go down here to the key that says math. We're going to hit it. Then it'll pull up a screen that says math, num, CPX, and PRB. We're going to go to the screen that says math, and you see number 1 says frac, F-R-A-C. So we're going to click on that, hit enter, and now it says 0.4 frac, and then you hit enter again. It says it's 2/5. So that means 0.4 as a decimal is the same thing as 2/5 as a fraction. Let's try again. Let's say we have 0.7. Now how do we get it to a fraction? You can do it the old-fashioned way, or you can come down here and hit math. And then top of the screen you have math, num, CPX, and PRB. You want to go with math 1 for frac. Hit enter. Tells you that it's 7/10. So that's the way to convert a decimal into a fraction. It's exceptionally useful. You're going to use it all the time. Other things you're going to use. Absolute value. Something that a lot of people can struggle with. But we can do that on the graphing calculator. We're going to come here to math. And as you can see, there's math, num, CPX, and PRB again. And we're going to scroll over to num. The first thing says ABS, which stands for absolute value. We're going to hit enter. Now it says ABS and then parentheses. Let's say we want to know the absolute value of -10. So hit -10, close your parentheses, hit enter. Tells you that it's 10. Notice that the negative's inside the parentheses with this absolute value. But can it be done outside of it? Sure, why not? Let's go ahead and hit the negative. Let's say we're going to find the absolute value of negative on the outside and then absolute value of 5. So we hit negative, come here to math, scroll over to num. First one says ABS. We're going to hit that button, and now we're going to type in the 5. Close parentheses. Tells us that the absolute value of 5 with a negative on the outside is -5. Very handy to know. You'll use this a lot. Now, there's a little bit more you can do on this. A little more complicated, but very useful stuff. When you're trying to solve for fractions, but you struggle to find out what the least common denominator is, you can do that on the calculator as well. You can hit math, and then you can scroll all the way down here under the math button and see if you can find it. Doesn't seem to be there. Let's try num. Scroll down on num, and you'll see something called LCM. That's basically the same thing as your greatest denominator when you're doing fractions. So you're going to hit the LCM button. Let's say you have 12 and 20. So type in 12, comma, 20, close your parentheses, and it tells you that 60 would be your least common denominator if you were doing a fraction that had 12 and 20 as your denominators. Very useful. But let's say you're trying to figure out factors that go into a number. So we're going to actually find our greatest common factor with this one. You're going to hit math, go back over to num again, scroll all the way down, and you're going to see something called GCD. It's basically the same thing as your greatest common factor. Let's try 12 and 20 with this. 12, comma, 20, close parentheses, hit enter. Tells you that it's 4. So 4 is the largest number that goes into both 12 and 20. Both are divisible by 2, but you can do better. So both are also divisible by 4. Now, something you're going to be doing later on is inequalities. Generally, inequalities aren't that bad. Is 8 greater than 5? Yeah, it's pretty simple to know, but we can actually test this on a calculator. So we're going to hit 8, and then we're going to come up here to the second button, which is the yellow button we've talked about before. Hit that, and then you're going to hit the math button. You'll see where it says test. Hit that. And then come over here under test. Greater than is number 3. So you're going to scroll down to it. You're going to hit that. And then type in your 5. So it's 8 greater than 5. Hit enter. It says 1. 1 on this graphing calculator is the exact same thing as yes. So that's good to know. 1 means yes. Now let's find out is 4 greater than 5. So you type in 4. Hit the math button. for second, and then the math button. Pulls up the test screen. Scroll down to number 3 for greater than, and now we'll hit 5. Is 4 greater than 5? It says 0. 0 means no on this calculator. Remember, 1 is yes, and 0 is no. These are pretty simple questions, but when you get into, let's say, negative numbers, how about if we want to know it's negative 8, and we're going to say less than, so hit second, math, scroll down to your less than, which appears to be number 5, scroll down to number 5, so it's negative 8 less than negative 11. Hit your enter. It tells you 0, same thing as no. Remember, when you're dealing with negative numbers, the closer to 0 is the greater. The closer you are to 0, the greater the number. And those are just a few simple techniques and tools you'll use on the calculator. There's many, many more that you'll wind up seeing, but this is just a brief intro.